Welcome to CrossTalk. This week, we're glad you're joining us. We're in a special location. Hope as you're listening, you will find out much about what's going on in Bluegap here in Arizona. This is where Brother Tommy is at with the ministry that they call Bluegap Bible Missions. Brother Tommy has been here about 25 years. And we just want to give an idea of what's happening with the Navajo Nation and the opportunity that there is here with the Burbank family. He and Miss Annie run a food bank and all kinds of things. There's a team here from Alpha Ministries this week, and we're joining them. And you'll hear more about that later. But right now, we just want to find out more, Brother Tommy, about who you are and what's going on here at Bluegap and the needs that you have in ministering to your people. So tell us where you got your education and how long you've been here serving.
Okay. I left a reservation while I was still young, about when I was 13. And normally what the Navajos are doing, actually all the Indians, they send them out to different schools for 9 months. And we get back home just for a few months. And I've been to Sherman Institute, which is in California. And then later on, I took some Bible school in California. And after that, Annie and I, we got to know each other. And we got married. As soon as we got married, one of my sisters told me, I want you to remember one thing. Don't you ever hang on to your mom's apron. You're ready to leave home and get on your own. So we did. 2 years after, actually about 1.5 years after we got married, we went to Denver. And that's where I got my training for carpenter, cabin making. And we got back just for 3 weeks and head to California. And that's where we raised our kids for 20 years. And at the same time, we took some Bible classes. United Native Ministry Bible class, and also Bayala. And after we got all those, I worked for store fixtures for 20 years. And the business was just about to be sold to another company. And that's when I decided to go home.
And home is here in Bluegap.
Yeah.
Now, can I back up for just a second? I want to know a little bit more about, you said that most of the families send the students, when they're a teenager, off to a 9-month school. Where are those schools, and what is the purpose in that?
Well, that's the way the Indians are, you know, they've just been sent out to different schools for 9 months. And that time was just a 5 years program.
Okay.
And after that, I've been sent back to Chinle when they first start with their high school. Before they just have grade schools.
Okay.
And then I went back and went to California. And when we got back here, my uncle was a pastor here, Peter Burbank.
Okay.
And I noticed that he needs a lot of help. And we helped him for a while. And the Mennonite was just about to close up the church that time.
And that's this building that we're sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This one and also Black Mountain. So they were phasing out with the funds. And they got interested in us to see if we can take over. I said, no, we've got too many things to do. We were doing a lot of construction work at that time. I didn't make up my mind until possibly almost 2 years, but they keep asking us if we can take over. But meantime, my uncle already retired and left the church. And we go ahead and we actually didn't take over. We said, we're just going to help them.
Okay.
I hate to see that some people, they start coming to church, but some of them are just drifting away. And I felt so sorry that the way that I see, the church was doing pretty good, but the mother said that I give you birth, it's on your own. You take care of you. I felt like the babies are just left behind. Mm. And that's what make up my mind to go ahead and take leadership. I said, the only problem I have is that was my excuse that I didn't get my pastoral ministry. And they told me that that's no problem, we can set you back. So I went back to Huston. I took a crash course.
In pastoral ministries.
Mm-hmm. So I came back. The Mennonite has just a little bit of money left. That's what they use on it. But I still have $4,000 left over. They thought that I might take about 6 months to finish it. But we came back in 3 months. And I told them that you still have $4,000. I'm going to send the money back to you. He said, that's your money.
So honest man trying to do an honest thing, and they surprised you.
So we go ahead and start, just have Bible class and stuff like that, and have class in the morning. And that's how we got started for 25 years now.
25 years. Mm-hmm. So tell us, you were connected to other churches in this process with Bluegap and other churches here in the area. You're based on what I talked to you about. You were the president of a national Indian connection. Can you explain that?
Well, the other churches around here, during my youth, some of them, I got to know them, but there wasn't very many. This was the only first church here. And there was one at Salana, which is about probably 25 miles from here. And those were the only one that I know back then. But after that, the Methodist Church, and there's a Alpha Amigo Church that we got it started probably about 20 years ago. And Pastor Danny Begay, he passed away, and they just don't have any leaders there. And we tried to help them to rebuild it. But there was another prospect that they have, and that young man passed away too, about 4 years ago.
Now, all of these churches have an indigenous pastor. They have an Indian pastor. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in 25 years of being here and being a native of this nation here at the Navajo Nation, what is the greatest, as a pastor, what is the greatest need of the people in relation to the gospel and what's going on? What's their greatest need?
The leadership is the most thing that they need. I don't think they really have a good experience to train a leadership. Okay. That's the major problem. And also financial needs, that's always a problem.
Okay. When you say they don't have leadership, you're talking about pastoral and personal leadership in handling things?
Pastors and any leadership, like teachers in the church. The only ones that I know now that they try to be leaders are, some of them are just They just accept the Lord, and then they want to jump high before they learn anything. And that's why everything just falls.
Yeah. Well, what are the let me just say this. For those that don't live here, there are some problems that people face that limit the opportunity to preach the gospel, some things that slow the church down. What are some of those problems and hurts that the Navajo people have that people need to pray for?
The major problems that I began to notice is when we do some funeral service, we have too many traditions. Traditions has caused a lot of problems. And the Navajo calls it the Navajo traditions, and it's hard for them to leave. And they rather hang on to 3 or 4 other gods. And it's hard for them to understand that there's only one God. They know that they say there's only one creator, but they have other gods. And it's hard for them to understand that other gods are not real God.
Yeah. Are the younger ones finding more interest in the gospel or understand it better, or is it those traditional presentations, the young ones grab a hold of it too?
It is hard, even though they may accept the Lord, but they rather go back. Anytime when they have some troubles or when they have needs, that's when they come to church, and we would have prayer with them and start visiting them, but they just don't want to leave. Just like lately that I heard my mom and my dad used to do this, and we continue what they do. That's why we have Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, or even New Year, or Easter. Because of the loved one that passed away, they used to do, they want to carry it on.
Yeah.
But instead of serving the Lord.
Yeah, and they have some of them have a family revival. I take that's a gathering of the family to come back to a particular piece of property here. Is that what that means?
Well, not much, because a lot of young people got used to outside, and they are not quite familiar with what's going on in the reservation. They may just come back for a visit and maybe not to stay. That's why a lot of these older people's home are just, they don't live there anymore, and nobody lives there. And it's hard for them to live in that house again, because they feel like, in their tradition-wise, it's like a gravesite. And they don't come back to it.
Okay. Now, you and Miss Annie lead here in several ways. You all have a operation where you give food away. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And what do I have to do that, and how is that helping you minister to them?
The main thing that we're kind of lack on is when we get some young people, I'm talking about like young people that are still in their teen, they're the ones that have a better understanding, better learning than anyone that's a little over 20, 30, because they don't have good experience of how to be church members, how to be leaders, and they've been drift to other things. And then again, they would rather leave the reservation so they can work outside. And the main thing that we need to do is maybe some good teaching Bible.
Okay.
And also, I'm not really interested in the material things. And it's just a Bible or either song books that we usually buy for them. And they're kind of expensive these days.
Yeah. But how often do you give food away?
Every month.
Every month. And how many families, those are things that people can, not the food, but you mentioned the others, but the food. How many families do you all serve here at Bluegap?
We limit around 100.
100 families.
Yes.
Okay. And then in the winter, you have an operation where you're delivering firewood or helping with firewood?
With the firewood, we kind of just meeting people that has a great needs, like elderlies and handicaps. Those are the ones that we concern mostly. But there are times that, like I said, young people, when they get married early, they don't have homes. It's hard to build their own home, their own house, because you have to have a land withdrawal in your name to build your own house. So most of these young people, they just build around their parents' home site lease. And the government doesn't appreciate that. And when they do that, it's just like the mother and the parents are the only leaders, which there will be like daughters and sons. They will have their family in the same family, same house. And that's a lot harder. That makes young people to leave, to get on their own.
And they leave the reservation to go find a job.
To find a job.
So that leaves older people here without resources, and then they have the piece of land by themselves.
Right.
Okay. Well, tell me what you would have people back home in our area pray for. What would your major prayer request be for Bluegap Bible Ministry here, and you and Miss Annie? What is your major prayer request?
Well, our major thing is that I'm the only child, and my dad left me when I was still a baby. And I feel so sorry for my mom. My mom is the oldest. And I feel like if my mom leaves, it'll be empty.
Is she still alive?
She passed away
Okay.
in 1997.
Okay.
And then again, the same way with my wife. She has the same problem. She only had her mother at that time. Her father passed away when she was about 9 years old. And she had some brothers and sisters, but she feels like she's left alone. And when we got together, she felt much better. And we left, both of us, we left our parents early. And right now, even she has some sisters and brothers, but she doesn't feel like home. She's just one time, one of the ladies said that, "Who are you?" She said, "I'm Annie. I'm from here. Lucy is my sister. So you're one of the lost ones." And she felt so bad.
One of the lost ones.
Yeah. So you're one of the lost ones. And nobody knows her, even in her own family.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Brother Tommy, as we get ready to close. I think it would help folks. You mentioned your uncle and the ministry and all that. When were you born again? When was Brother Tommy saved?
I got saved back in 1955.
Okay.
When I was about 11 years old. 9 years old, I started going to church. And then in between, I've been tossed around. Went to Denver. When I got back to home and ready to leave the house again. Back in 1968, we left to California. And that's when we started going to church, and we began to realize that we are not living as a Christian people. I have other things in mind, other things that I'm doing. And in 1973 is when I really thought that I'm lost. Just like any other people, you've been accepted for a long time, but you didn't really know that whether you're God's child or not. So in 1973, after I did all the boxings, I got hurt. When we were coming back from Olympic Auditorium after I did the fighting, came back, we're going home. I was so thirsty, so we stopped at Safeway. That time they had bottle 7-Up. Mm-hmm. So my wife got that. She said, open it up. So she opened it. I drank it, and I felt something. And I gave it to her, and she drank some too. And it just got into my stomach. So we ended up in hospital. There were a lot of smoke glasses inside that. And the doctor couldn't help us. There's nothing they can do. They told us just get the rainbow bread and start eating rainbow bread. So we stayed there for the whole night. Next day, that day after I left the Olympic Auditorium, after I drank that, I can't stop praying. Just praying. Next day after we got home, I still feel funny, but I got better after a week later, and I quit boxing. And when I quit boxing, I feel much better. It got healed up. The same way with my wife. And that's when we start with a Bible class, and also we start with the Bible.
So for a season, you were in professional boxing and in Olympic boxing, and the Lord used all that to bring you back around where you're at. And today, as we sit here in Bluegap, we're right outside of Chinle. That's in Arizona, close to Gallup. We're about 2 hours from Gallup, I guess. And Brother Tommy and his wife, Miss Annie, both of them a little over 80 years old, still serving the Lord with gladness and serving the people here of the Navajo Nation. And I'd challenge you to pray for them, pray for just the pace of life that's here, the reality that He desires that they would know Christ, and there's a big battle. That battle is the traditional way, and being able to receive that the fact is there's only one true and living God, and His name is Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. I want to challenge you that are listening to us today to pray for Him, pray for the ministry that's here, pray for others that need to be saved that are here on this reservation. But I would challenge you, many of us may not come from a native background, but we all have, if we're not careful, other gods. And Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. And I challenge you today, if you've never put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, to do that. If we can be a help with that, you let us know. But in the meantime, recognize that there are people across this land who are still in need of people preaching the gospel, teaching the Bible, and being a support to those that are in the field doing what they're due. I would challenge you until we come back to you again. Remember Bluegap Bible Ministry, Arizona, and Brother Tommy and Miss Annie as they continue to serve here at this church and reach the nation of the Navajos. God bless, and we'll see you later.
Thank you for joining us on CrossTalk Radio and for personally investing in the lives of so many others with your prayers and giving. If you would like to learn more about HR Ministries, visit hrministries.net.